review of Dragon Kit 6383 Tiger 1E late production with a Zimmerit from Dragon's 1/35th scale 39 through 45 series. Original kit was released in 2008, the original tooling was in 2005, so the bulk of the kit is going to be upwards of 11 years old. The parts that are 11 years old are going to be the parts with the Zimmerit. So the hull parts, there's new parts that you add on with the Zimmerit, a new turret mold, as well as new gun mantlets. The kit comes with 6 marking options, 1 from Poland 1944, 4 from Normandy, and 1 from Italy. They're all 1944. The one I intend on building is from the 9th Panzer Regiment of the 3rd Panzer Division Totenkopf Decals, which was in Poland 1944 and quite a lot in 1943 as well. I did have a look at the reference book, Tigers of the Death's Head by Michael Wood. There's a lot of good pictures in there. None of them show the Zimmerit particularly well. However, we're talking about pictures that are 60 years old. So I would be happy to just say, based on when this tank should have been produced for it to be a late model, post 1943 build, along with the retrofitting of Zimmerit to certain vehicles, as well as a few other things like that. Quite happy to build it with the Zim and just roll with it. So some interesting things that I got from research through Mr. Wood's book. In Donskaya, which I'm going to presume is Poland or possibly part of Russia, the number was hung on a board over the side of the turret due to the tankers painting over with whitewash the original number. There's pictures of 933, which is the particular vehicle that's called out in this kit, with the tracks present. There's the bar that goes across here, you'll remember, and the tracks linking together and rest on the guide horn there. With and without them present, there are pictures of it, reference photos. There's also a picture of the tow cable hooked onto this eyelet, and it goes up to the top deck here, akin to the KV series. The Soviets did that quite a lot. If you've ever seen reference photos of the KV1 and KV2, it's very common. There's another reference picture which shows a barrel sitting vertically here. It's unclear whether or not it's in transit or if it's just sitting there because they're doing maintenance. Maybe they're redoing the coolant and it's more efficient to just haul the barrel up there and drain it straight in, rather than have some poor guy pumping for 6 or 8 hours, however long it takes to get an entire drum of coolant up into the system. There's another image that shows the right front road wheel, so that's the one right next to the front drive sprocket on this side. It's one of the outer road wheels like this guy, and it's missing that outer wheel, which is again something interesting if you wanted to build that specific vehicle and add that little piece of interest. The tanks of the 3rd SS Panzer Division were caught in the Warsaw Uprising, launched on 1st August 1944. The Tigers didn't participate in the suppression of the uprising. They actually just held the line against the Soviet attacks in the eastern suburbs. So just a piece of history for you so I can nerd out a little bit. So these are our marking options. This is 933 that I mentioned. The pictures show that it had rings on the barrel there. towards the end of it. There's no decal for them that I've seen or can see having a quick glance over at them. And then you've got a few Normandy ones. I actually really like this. This is the Italy scheme, I believe, for number 1. I like that a lot. It's a very simple scheme, but it's very different. A lot of the tricolors are kind of this, or this sort of thing. This looks like it was hastily applied. I kind of like that, if I'm honest with you. There's more box art there. This gives us a couple of, I believe these are 3D renders. I'm not entirely sure, but they do show off PE tool clamps, something that I've never done. We'll see how they go. Hopefully the plastic's already molded on there, as well as PE right here for securing the cable. There is wire in the kit for doing this cable, as well as the tow cables that sit up on top, so that'll be interesting. And some more PE up here, but we'll take a look at that as we go through. So back in the box, obviously showing off a few of the details as Dragoner want to do. They're very good at blowing their own horn. You know, PE for clamps and brackets. There's a cover for the shovel there. I've not looked at the shovel. I will endeavour to remember as we go through to see if you actually have to scrape off the moulded one or not. Standard sort of vent covers, radiator grills and such like. There's a barrel that recoils. Don't know why, but it's interesting, because if you wanted to do a diorama as if the gun had just been fired, you could have it in that recoiled position. The road wheels here are workable, as it says here. Torsion bars are workable. I got another Dragon kit of the Tiger with the workable torsion bars. They're very, very easy to build, a little bit more time consuming, but all the wheels are the same level. And again, if you wanted to do a diorama with rocks, rubble, a truck underneath it, you could very easily lift up the road wheels, and there's bump stops on there, so they're never going to go up too far as to look out of scale. So some interesting thoughts there. So there's DS tracks. We're going to take a look at them in a wee second, as well as photo etch for the vents. So I'm going to put the box away. We're going to have a wee look-see at what else you get when you buy this kit. So the first thing, the DS tracks. It's the first thing that came to hand, so it's the first thing that we'll talk about. Lightning holes are present. They are very small. Let's see. You can see them there. They are there. I mean, I've seen some Dragon tracks that have solid guide horns on them, which is wrong, but these look okay. The attachment point looks like if you get it glued down right and do it properly, it'll look okay. I'd be worried about melting off some of the guide horns or distorting them when you do go to glue, but you can probably hide that with mud and road wheels and stuff. And it looks like when you do attach them, if you're viewing it from the outside, that it'll be a very good attachment. There's not much to really see there regarding a gap or anything. They look like they fit pretty well. Have a look at the instructions. There's a lot of blue. There's a lot of plastic that you've paid for that you're not going to use. There's a drive sprocket there. There's two back plates, front plate, 3 gun mantlets that you won't be using, 4 gun mantlets that you won't be using. There's a shovel here. What else is there? Front plates, side plates. And the reason for that is because you get this frame, D, the one up here, which is basically all of your Zimmerit parts. So it looks like between the turret, which is up here, and frame D, that's all the new tool parts that went into this kit. And the other stuff is just kind of the standard fare from the 2008 kit. That's what Dragon appear to have done. I don't work for Dragon, I can't say for sure. And the instructions are good, you know. You put together the torsion bars, you don't glue here, you glue them on the opposite side so they retain that workability. And it's quite simple, you just pop in this little part here. This little part here, I apologize. And it all goes together fairly simply, to be honest. It looks a lot like the other Dragon kit that I built. The jack was something that I wasn't prepared for. It does tell you not to glue this part so it can remain workable. Why would you want to? Mine kept falling out, so I just glued it. It looks alright. Putting in the radiators and things, already mentioned that you don't use this piece of PE because it's pointless. These are movable. Again, why would you want to? Then adding detail to the top plate. I always do all of this once I've secured it to the top of the tank. It's just the way that I do it. I'm prone to knocking small parts off. I'm very club-handed. I'm more of a hammer person than a masseuse with a wrench. And then a lot of turret detail. If you have a look up at step 15, you've got commander's chair, loader's chair, things like that. And the Dragon turrets are very nice, I have to say. For the late Tigers, very nice. You got the turret bin there, which, thanks to the video that Night Shift put out, I will be wrecking mine and filling it with bullet holes because it looks awesome. And then final construction over here on step 19, popping the turret on in the last couple of details. Another quick look at the marking options as they appear. So, 2 Normandy vehicles. Please don't ask me which one was with Whitman, I don't know. This is the one I intend on building, the Totenkopf Poland model. And then, yep, I was right, it is the Italy model. Interestingly, you can have a few variations there. They've got, for calling it out, just have a look. You can have it as either vehicle 1, 2, or 3 from that unit. Apparently, they're all painted similarly, which is mucho interesting, as well as what appears to be a buffalo right down here on the back of the stowage bin there. So we got that. The instructions, they're nice, they're not in colour. I feel like Academy has somewhat spoiled me. The decals, the decals, however you want to call them, right here. Try and not catch the glare, but they're very nice. They feel very thin and they're nice and crisp. Looking at the images though, the Zimmerit vehicles, the numbers don't look very neat. so I don't know if I would go ahead and hand paint the number myself. We'll see. And you've got some down there, number 19 I believe it is, looks like the scripting for the fire extinguisher that goes up on the back deck. So decals are nice. Let's have a look, see. We have here some metal tow cable that they give you, kind of standard with Dragon. Looks like it's about the right size. Looks good. Got some glass parts here for the cupola and the driver's vision port there. Doesn't appear to be any flash, so looks quite nice. Don't know how much of it you'll see when all is said and done. Got some more periscopes and things here. And then a small parade, shall we have, of photo etch grills. These are kind of standard Dragon Tiger. This baggie has 2 in it. This one has 1. Not sure why, but it does. And then we've got this bag here where we have a shovel cover, another grill for the back, a spring, and if I can demate the 2, there we go. This is the conduit for the headlamp, which is a nice little detail that comes pre-bent so that you don't have to, you know, suffocate yourself because you can't get a piece of wire to go perfectly the way you want it. And then there's a small piece of Zim here. I don't recall seeing in the instructions where that goes. I should probably go back and look. I think it's on the front deck though, somewhere along there. Main PE fret. These are the radiator parts that I mentioned. Tow clamps, things of that nature. Lots of very small details to keep you awake at night. So it looks good. I mean, they don't feel thick. They're quite flexible. I want to take them out of the bag and get greasy fingerprints over it, but they look good. That's what counts. Then the thinner wire for the side plate. This part is one of the machine gun ports that fell off the frame, but considering the kit got shipped from Hong Kong to Virginia, then from Virginia to Korea, I think to only lose one part from the frame, I mean, I'll take that. I'll take that hit and say it's my own stupid fault for getting it shipped so many times across the world. It's been across the Pacific twice and lived. Then we have 2 different turrets. The one to the left has the drainage slots, the rain drainage slots. The one to the right doesn't. So depending what vehicle you mean to build will determine which one you use. They don't come on a frame. They just come in a little baggie, which probably at one point would have been on a Dragon card, but they don't love us like they used to, so that's just how it be. On this frame, the first of many road wheel frames, I believe there's a couple in here. We have idler wheels, half of a drive sprocket, and then the road wheels. No flash that I can see. This is one of the radiators. It looks very nice. I understand that it's an older kit, but it looks crisp. It looks like it could compete with the Tamiya kit that was 2019 that I did for you. The 38T. In terms of the quality that it's been put out with. So all looking very, very nice. I'm probably about to lose this guy from the frame. I hope not, but we'll find out, I'm sure. Now this frame, a lot of this isn't used. We don't use this, we don't use these guys. This is the top of the engine deck right here. Tow cables. Obviously, if you're going to go with the photo reference, you would need to use one of the lengths of wire to do that. And this guy's broken right here, right in the back of my finger. I don't know if you can see. It's become a bit of a casualty, but that looks like I could fix it. I'll move it over a bit. That looks like I could fix it with just a little dab of extra thin and some patience. But there's wire supplied, so I could just cut the ends off and use the supplied PE and do it that way. Or I could leave it off, because it weirds me out thinking you guys are in a war and you've been getting shot at and nothing's become so damaged that you had to leave it, you know. So if I took a round in the side and this cable was damaged, I'd just dump the entire thing personally. Don't know if that's how they did it in the SS, but I don't see the point in carrying broken equipment. But that's just me. The parts themselves, again, look very nice. There's no apparent flash even on the cables. There is the detail to show the cabling there, and it's nicely textured. It's quite good. There's a little bit of flash on one of these boys. Yeah, right around here. There's a little bit of flash. If the camera will ever focus. Do things properly, you. Yeah, right there. But to see it, I do have to get hella close, so it probably wouldn't take too much to clean it up. This is the other G-sprue with all of the with all of the road wheels and whatnot, and the other radiator grill. Again, it's the same sprue, so it's going to be very, very nice. What have we got here? Ooh, first Zimmerit part, the upper deck plate. The Zimmerit is nicely textured. Kind of looks a bit heavy, but once you've painted it and whatnot, I imagine that'll tone it down quite a bit, make it look a bit less hefty. Then we've got two back plates, which we won't be using because they don't have Zimmerit. And then the two different styles right here of loader's hatch. I like this one, but this is the one that I used on my other Tiger. So I might have to use this one, which is a bit more simplified, because that speaks more late war Germany to me. But we'll see what the instructions call for. We have tools. I must say this is a very wobbly frame. Why? This is actually called as 4 different ones. Some of these parts are so thin, this guy's transparent right here. I can see through it. These are the jack parts, I believe. The shovel here, I don't know if you can see it, but he is transparent and they don't have toe clamps on them. The shovel and the spade don't have the cover as well, so you would need to use the photo etch. Fortunately, it's pre-shaped, so you don't have to worry too much about that. Gonna have to get good at making toe clamps though, because there's a fair number of them. And then your ends for your cables as well. I have no idea what these are, but they're tiny. So yeah, there's that. Turret basket makes a bid for freedom. Naughty. Turret roofs. One with the, I'm going to call it a gutter because I don't know what the correct word would be. One obviously without. Well, details on them is quite nice, as is the casting. The plastic casting is quite nice. Should clarify, the metal casting is very smooth. There's not much texture to them, but they look alright. A couple of different mantlets, so we can practice our battle damage on them, and another loader's hatch. I don't know how it's different. One of the other ones looks almost exactly like this, so just have to say yes. The gun mantlet and the escape hatch. This guy up here is the escape hatch, which is workable if you put it together properly, and quite nice if it's the same as the other dragon one that I did. What do we have here? Okay, so these are the guides for the magic tracks if you happen across them. Mantlet with the binoculars, but no Zim, so we don't use it, which means we can practice our small arms fire and damage. Commander's cupola hatch. I believe this is part of the forwarding kit. I want to say it's part of the forwarding kit. If not, it definitely goes on the top of the turret. There's a ventilator or something along those lines. Very nice though. Nothing really to write home about in this frame. There's a couple of grab handles there. And these are the bills for the top of the tracks that go on the turret right here. Then turret basket for the back, the bottom parts for the tracks, and then the lids for the storage bins. Gonna have fun with them. Don't know what I'm gonna do, but I intend on having fun with it. It's quite a nice part. It doesn't look like it's too thick, so I mean, you're gonna have to Dremel it if you want to be able to punch through it easily, but it shouldn't be too much of a job. You know, it's obviously overscale because the intention would be that you would just make it into a sealed box and then nobody would know how thick the plastic was. It could be a solid part as far as anyone cared, and it wouldn't make any difference. We have got the exhaust covers for the back. They're going to get sanded down and filled with bullet holes and dents and stuff as well. And then these guys, which have incredibly light grooves between them, but can confirm with a razor saw and a little bit of patience you can cut them, and they do look very attractive when they're when you cut it and just leave one of them missing. Don't recall from the reference photos whether 933 had any missing, but I mean a lot of Tigers did. Then we've got a tool here, bolt cutter it looks like, that does have a clamp on it. So that kind of gives me hope. My PE skills kind of suck, so kind of hoping that there's there's going to be ones that don't have, that do have the clamps, just in case I get ham-fisted and become a disappointment and wig out. We have got another binocular gun mantlet, and then the rest of the gun parts. What else have we got? Turret basket. Told you the inside was pretty detailed for these. It is a shame, because I put together all this detail, left all the hatches open on my other Tiger, and you can't see any of this, which is a real shame because it's very attractive, even though it's not a full interior. It's just so well made, you know. Again, like we've got slide molded parts here with like no flash, no seam lines. They're just good, man. They're just good. This is part of the gun, so I think it's the rails, so that either the driver or the loader doesn't get his arm or something in the way of the recoil, if I'm remembering correctly. This is the bit that was in the bag that was missing. It's almost identical to this. So I think it's maybe a pistol port for the turret or something like that. But I've got it in the bag. It's safe. It's not going anywhere. Again, I'm going to take the hit for that. I'm not going to hold it against Dragon. We have the upper hull here, which we'll hold like that. The weld detail is quite nice. If it is the same part as on the other kit, it's going to be great. And then we have tools with clamps and with the cover on the spade up there. A couple of barrel cleaning rods, crowbar, pry bar type implements. But it's very good. It's what you would expect for a company of Dragon's quality. We have the radiator inserts here, fans, radiators themselves, driver's hatch, fire extinguishers here. There's parts for the bow and turret machine guns. All very well molded, all very crisp, all very clean. So, I mean, I keep repeating that it's very crisp and very clean. I understand that, but it is. I mean, Dragon aren't famous for making cheap kits. Their prices are usually up there. But I think in this case, you could certainly make a solid argument that it's justified. I have a Cyber Hobby, which is Dragon's budget brand SU-85, and it's not in the trash can yet, but it did make me want to punch it. It's pretty bad. Got some torsion bars here. These tracks go to the turret. The lightning holes that should be pointed out match the size and shape of the lightning holes on the actual DS tracks. So even if it's not a large enough lightning hole, you're not going to look at the track and then look at the turret and say, why are they different? So if it's wrong, it's consistently wrong. If it's right, it's consistently right. For me, so long as it's consistent, that's the main thing. Then there's that sprue is repeated 4 times. Radiator covers, very attractive. no flash, you know. These fit really well, if I remember correctly. So they basically just clip into place, and I think you can leave these workable, which would be good actually if you wanted to do a diorama like that with the cover open. You could use that radiator PE for the boxes, and there you go. I've been weird for long enough. Here are the bits with the Zim. You got the two side plates here, front plate, rear plate. Here's the escape hatch for the turret. Binocular. You can see them up here. Binocular for the mantlet, and then the front plate here. The Zimmerit is, it feels very rough in my hand. Not sure how I feel about that, but I'm not complaining. I think once you paint it, it'll look a bit less thick. The only real criticism that I can think of is that if you wanted to damage the Zimmerit and have parts of it flaked off, it would be a challenge to do with this kit. It's the only criticism I have for having a pre-zimmed model. But that's a consideration that you would make before you buy it. I saw this kit with the Zimmerit and thought, I want that. That looks freaking awesome. So I went and bought it. That's just how I did it. Okay. Turret as well. It is the one-piece style. Academy have got two-piece turrets on one of their Tiger kits, and it's strange, but it's a very nice two-piece turret. It fits well. This is a one-piece though, so it looks how it should straight away. You don't have to worry about it being square or gaps or anything like that. It just works. This is the escape hatch. Turret basket goes on the back, and then this is a mount for one of the crew seats, I believe. It's very nice. It doesn't, the Zimmerit on here doesn't feel as harsh as it did on the other parts, which is, I'm gonna call it good. So we got that there, and you know, the lower hull again, probably from the original, from whenever that came out. Can't remember off the top of my head. My laptop with my notes is asleep. But the torsion bars, it'll come in from this side, go across, and there'll be a little knuckle that you glue in, and you'll pop some glue in there and slide the torsion bar in. The way I found it was I would have the torsion bar sitting about here. I would use my tweezers to pop the knuckle in for it to mount into, put a bit of glue on the end, and then push it across. That was the easiest way that I found using extra thin. I would maybe use Tamiya's orange glue, just 'cause it's a little bit stronger. You know, bump stops here are pre-molded on, but they look lovely, and the escape hatches and whatnot are already on. I don't know what that is at the bottom, but I'm going to presume it didn't come with the kit. I'm going to presume it's from somewhere, unless it's maybe just a bit of roughness where the mold gets filled from, the injection point or whatever. But it's on the bottom. I'm not going to be building this for any competitions or anything, so I really don't mind. These holes are to help you mount the radiators correctly, because if you have them too far back, the back plate's not going to fit. And now that I think of it, this is probably going to be a new hull, because it's got a cutout here, so that when you add the Zimmerated front plate, it actually fits. So this might not be from the original kit. Alrighty then. So, it's been a review of Dragon 6383, the Tiger 1 with the Zimmerit. Hope you've all enjoyed it, and have a good rest of your day. Bye bye.